Today is June 26th, 2024. My name is Melissa Ackerman, and I will be interviewing Jeanette Pincus for the Kosher in Dallas project. Hey, Jeanette, how are you today?
Great, thank you.
What is your connection to the Dallas Jewish kosher community?
Well, what happened is that Deborah Polsky, a blessed memory, and Jerry Finkelstein had worked together about doing a special project about Dallas kosher in our community now. And so when I heard about it, we talked about doing more of finding out what it was like to be kosher in Dallas since our Jewish community got established here. So what happened with me is our family, I don't know, folklore, we always had heard that my great maternal grandfather, Frank Byers, was the first kosher butcher in Dallas. And it happened around 1883, 1886 is what I had heard. So I could not find any documentation, pictures, interviewing my generation now, which is 3-4 generations past this, and we couldn't find anything. However, what I got very happy about, because of the Dallas Jewish Historical Society, Rose Bitterman had written a book, and there was information that I'd like to share of people that had been interviewed for this book about Frank Byers, confirming what he had been in the Dallas
And
community.
the name of the book is They Came...
They Came to Stay, The Story of the Jews of Dallas, 1870 to 1997. And also something else that's just a wonderful project that also the Dallas Jewish Historical Society did was called Spoken Memories. And inside is many people of our community that we had an opportunity to interview, and they told a little bit about their stories. And so it happened to be, which I did not know, was my great aunt Sarah Byers Levinson was interviewed in here, and also explained some things about my great-grandfather, and my grandfather was in here. And then the very back page, I found a picture of the volunteers that had worked on it, and my mother was in it.
And hold it up a little bit.
And I didn't know
that's
that she
wonderful.
had even been part of this
And it was your mother's family that had the butcher...
It was that side of the family, right? It was her grandfather.
Do you know when your family came to Dallas
Yes,
originally?
in fact, I do have that information now because of all this. First, I want to show a picture. This is my great...
Can you hold it up a little
Yes,
bit?
my great-great-grandfather, Frank Byers.
It's the glare. Okay,
Okay.
that's better.
And this is my great-grandmother, Fanny Skybel. And we believe this is Aunt Sarah Byers Levinson, who was the oldest daughter of the 8 children that they had.
Okay.
So what the story is finding out this information is that Frank Byers originally immigrated to Wichita Falls in 1883. And the reason why he got there is we don't know why it was a small town. But the reason why he left is he attended yeshiva in Germany, but he fled before he got ordained as a rabbi. And he escaped because he did not want to be in the military service in Germany at that time. And also the Jewish persecution was also getting really bad there. So when he started in Wichita Falls, he started being a traveling salesman and was coming into Dallas a lot. He already was engaged to my great-grandmother, Fanny Skybel, and he was trying to get her over there. So about 1886, they were married and came to Dallas, and this is when he opened up the kosher meat market.
What was it called?
That I could not find out. I know it was in a home on Alamo Street.
Is that down in South Dallas?
This was the part of Goose Valley that we heard about where El Phoenix is and Ross Perot museums at. Fanny Skybel also had 2 sisters that came right after that. One was Lena, who married Ben Tobolowsky, and the other sister's Katie, who married Max Wachowski. So that they all kind of lived all together in the same area. The information I was able to get from the book that Rose Bitterman had written is that Fannie Levine Ornish had been interviewed, and she remembers as a child, when she got around there in 1906, that my great-grandparents lived right next door to the meat market on 145 Alamo Street. That's where it was. And she remembers that he was the kosher butcher. And my great-aunt Sarah was interviewed by Ginger Jacobs, and it was an audio interview that was done in 1978, and it was very special for me to hear Ginger asking the questions to my Aunt Sarah and hearing her voice again, because I do remember her as a child myself with it. She said that my grandfather, who was her younger brother, the next one in line, would wake up every morning at 4 o'clock, deliver the kosher meats and the products by wagon and horse, then come home, and then they would walk to school. And that was a very special moment for me that I did not know, that I just heard yesterday, listening to the oral history interview from our website that we have. Fannie Ornish also remembers at Passover, it was a very special time for the Jewish community here, that my grandfather was the only one that you could get the kosher Passover supplies from. So it was matzahs, she remembers cake meal, and matzah meal. But the luxury was if he had macaroons. That was such a delight for them to do that, and it was a luxury for them. Claire Shackman Blatt was also interviewed in the book, and she remembers a very difficult time for the Orthodox Jewish community here. She said they were poor. And that my Aunt Sarah also, in the interview, she recalls asking her father as a little girl, why was he letting people take the food and not have to pay for it? And he said because they needed the food, and that's why he was doing it for them. Claire Blatt also remembers that how Passover stuff was done. She said nothing was packaged. Matzahs came in a big box, not in like 1 pound boxes that we know now. So each customer bought how many they wanted. It was almost like counted out. So people brought their own bags and containers with them. Also, the matzah meal was in one big sack, and they would measure it out and put it in their own container. Kosher for Passover wine was something that was not available at that time either. So she said the community would go to the farmer's market and buy Concord grapes and make their own wine to do that. My grandfather, I believe this was the only job that he had, is that I could see, and so I'm not sure when he stopped being the butcher, but more of kosher butchers started coming around as the years went on too. My grandfather, Frank Byers, he was the first president of Tiferet Israel. And what was also a funny thing that I found out is that he was president for 34 years. 34 so years. It was from 1893 to 1927. And they started out in like 1890. They were in the home of Mr. Donosky. That and there were like 11 families that I realized they might have, everybody was related to everyone at that time. And because he had been studied at a yeshiva but hadn't been ordained, he was the lay leader and led all the services until they were able to hire a rabbi, and that was much later on at that time. And that is it.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you.